Today I'm going to be working on a piece of writing that I'm currently creating for my course in uni. So as I mentioned in the last video, I am studying a master's in creative writing, which has been a journey so far, but today I have a script due at 5 p.m. and it is currently half finished. So I'm going to take you along with me to uni, where I'm going to be working on the script for the next couple of hours, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get it more or less finished for 5 p.m. So yeah, let's go. So honestly, I don't have any specific process for writing or starting to write something. I'm still working on that, and it also tends to change based on what I'm writing. On this day, I was working on a script, which is something I've never done before. This is the first script I've ever written, so I definitely don't have any kind of process for that specifically. But I do find things easier to edit when they're printed, so I'll usually start with printing something and reading through everything that I already have. It just gets me back in the zone of the story. As I do that, I will make notes about things I'd like to change, take away, add. I'm someone who definitely edits as I go along, and yeah, that's kind of what works best for me. At this point, I was still really early in the process of writing this script, so I was figuring out a lot of the structure. That is why I spent a lot of this day kind of rewriting and restructuring. So I've just finished writing my script for today. I'm really happy with what I got done actually. It took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but I feel like I made really good progress with the characters and the voices of the different characters. And I was able to kind of get in the zone for those couple of hours, which was good. So I've just submitted my script now for university, and I think I'm gonna call it for today because it's nearly 7 p.m. and I need to eat. So something that I have been trying to get back into the practice of is a routine that I kept for quite a while over the summer, and that is morning pages. It's something that comes from the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, I believe is her name. And it's a book, but it's more of a practical 12-week guide to kind of reconnect with your creativity. Now, in all honesty, I've never finished the full 12 weeks, but I have taken this one practice from the book and I found it to be really helpful. And it's basically that first thing in the morning, you write 3 full pages of literally the first thing that comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to even make sense. The idea is that from first thing in the morning, you're getting out everything that's on your mind, and you can then start the day from kind of a blank space where you've emptied your mind of anything that was left over from sleeping or from the day before. I've really been enjoying it as a way to start the day instead of just picking up my phone and starting to scroll. I've found it to just help me to start the day with that little bit more of intention. And also, being someone who's a writer and a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes, it's a good practice in letting go of perfection and just kind of writing whatever comes to my mind. So I wanted to just check in at this point in the video to talk about some things that have recently been inspiring me related to writing and also just in general creativity. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is this book right here, and it is called The Creative Act, A Way of Being, and it's by Rick Rubin. You may or may not have heard of Rick Rubin before, but he is a very famous music producer. I first discovered him through actually a podcast that's called On Being with Krista Tippett, and in that episode he was talking about creativity and kind of how it works in his life, or how he's noticed it to work over these decades of being creative himself but also working with dozens and dozens of famous musicians. I remember listening to this podcast when I was on a bus journey from Madrid to Granada last year. It was a 5-hour bus journey, so I was definitely isolated in my own world and kind of just sucked into this podcast, but I remember having a genuine epiphany on the bus journey after listening to this podcast, because it just opened my mind to creativity and the possibilities of creativity when you're not overthinking things or letting doubt or an inner critic creep in and stop you from actually ever even trying. So I really like this passage that he has on self-doubt. Self-doubt lives in all of us. Flaws are human, and the attraction of art is the humanity held in it. If we were machine-like, the art wouldn't resonate. It would be soulless. With life comes pain, insecurity, and fear. The making of art is not a competitive act. Our work is representative of the self. You would be amiss to say, I'm not up to the challenge. Yes, you may need to deepen your craft to fully realize your vision. If you're not up to it, no one else can do it. Only you can. You're the only one with your voice. I really like this section because I've been struggling with self-doubt and self-criticism ever since I started this master's, because it has pushed me out of my comfort zone into a space where I'm regularly sharing my writing, and has led me to fall back on these old patterns of self-judgment, self-criticism, and self-doubt. Just reading through this book and kind of knowing that that is something that happens to any artist of any kind, at some point those thoughts are bound to creep in. It kind of gave me comfort, because I don't see it as something that's insurmountable or that should stop me, but rather something that I should just let happen and move forward regardless. But I hope that some of this has given you some inspiration or food for thought when it comes to your writing practice or any kind of creative practice that you have. So yeah, thank you for listening.